Hello, 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 hello. Hello out there in podcast land. This is another installment of LE and me, Law Enforcement and Me. And of course, I am Miss Carmen. I am the host of this show. Of course, you know that this show still in its infancy. We're still trying to work out a lot of kinks. But let's just talk about a lot of the things that's just kind of uncomfortable to talk about. And the reason why I wanted to talk about uncomfortable things is because, as most of my regular listeners know, I've had a very hard time with this podcast. I enjoy listening to police officers tell their stories. I enjoy watching real life law enforcement, like what I see on Patrol Live. Those of you who are regular listeners, you know that On Patrol Live is my go to for when I want to see real police interaction. Um, I've been researching Dan Abrams, the host of the show, where he's been, how he created Live PD, and of course, after the death of George Floyd, and how a lot of things in media had to change, how he lost that platform, but still managed to come back and come back even better than before when he came up with On Patrol Live. That is an amazing feat. So he's a media hero for me because as I do this law enforcement and me platform, and I'm trying to get the civilian side of how law enforcement interactions are, I have trouble finding that meeting in the middle. Um, Anybody that's a regular listener knows that my partner in crime, for lack of a better term, is Tim Santoro out there in Las Vegas with his security team, Tactical Security Solutions. He's got some videos on YouTube under that handle. He's definitely doing some things under contract work for security and assisting people on implementing security upgrades, and teachings along the way to where people feel safe with their businesses, uh, special events, etc. And so Tim is an excellent source. And of course, he is a police enforcement advocate. One of the reasons why I have so much trouble, first of all, let me just let you know, I'm recording this today on September 30th. Over the weekend, before this Tuesday, September 30th, there were, I believe, three mass shootings. I believe in the month of September, there have been more than 10. I didn't do my research before I recited that, so forgive me if that's wrong. But we are talking about some gun violence in Utah, some gun violence in Colorado, gun violence in Michigan, gun violence in North Carolina. And the first thing I want to talk about is I'm definitely giving my condolences. I'm not going to say anyone's name because this is not a political platform. This platform is not designed for politics. My stomach is in knots so many times because there is such a divide when I come on here and I put my voice to this recording and I say to you guys, we got to come to common ground. But in this society, it's so difficult. I've had police officers who I've had one-on-one conversations with, but they won't come on this platform. And I think it's because of the politics. Am I courageous? No. No, I'm not even close to being courageous. When I was 18 and I entered the military, I was courageous. When I left Baltimore by myself to move to Las Vegas to try to live a life within entertainment and within the strip and the lights and everything that I thought was amazing, I was courageous. Uh, when the Las Vegas strip had their massacre, and I believe tomorrow is the anniversary of the Las Vegas massacre, had I still lived in Las Vegas and my supervisor from when I was working on the strip called me and said, Carmen, come work this event, I would have been right out there, listening to some good country music, watching people enjoy a beautiful night before shots rang out. And here's a story. Um, My supervisor for that night, this was before I deleted my Facebook. I completely shut my Facebook down maybe about 2 years ago. But before I shut my Facebook down, my former supervisor put up this post the day after that shooting. And within that post, he talked about how it was a beautiful night, how he was observing the scene. His back was turned to the stage because he was looking at the audience and enjoying what the audience was enjoying. People were standing up dancing, the music, and everything. And my supervisor said he heard pops. And when he heard these pops, he turned to look at the stage and couldn't understand where the pops were coming from. But when he turned the other direction, the young lady who was standing right beside him fell flat because she had been hit by bullets. I don't know if she survived, but I do know that because I know my supervisor and I respected him so much, I knew that that person that fell, it could have been me. So unfortunately, I'm going to sound selfish in this moment and say God saw that I did not need to be there that night. But dear God, why take all of those people for no reason? We still don't know to this day why that shooter did what he did. Fast forward, we are in September of 2025. And God always puts it on my heart that even though I struggle with this podcast, and because I struggle with the politics that are involved with just trying to understand policing and law enforcement, I get very melancholy and I start to think too much. So I just have to keep in my mind that I'm doing the right thing. Tim and I are working on getting some people on this broadcast that even though I don't agree with them politically, I want to have a conversation. I want to have a conversation with people that do things differently than me so that I can get an understanding. And I want them to get an understanding of where I'm coming from. Here I am. I'm an older Black woman in an all Black town, 70% Black town, who has had the courage to move across country a couple of times. I had the courage to join the military. I had the courage to go places within the United States that most Black people would never even think to go. But I found a way to let what God gave me speak to everybody, and that people could see God in me is probably why I have this platform. In the beginning stages of me doing law enforcement and me, I did not want to take it to politics, but it's so hard not to. So again, I'm going to send the invite out to any and everyone, especially law enforcement, who are not afraid to talk to me, who's not afraid to sit up there and say, you know what, hey, let's talk about let's just have a conversation, see where your brain is, see where my brain is, meet in the middle so that when you do have an interaction with law enforcement, it's not so volatile. It's not so everybody on 100. It's not so defense mechanism up, because so many times I see it. I see it when I watch On Patrol Live. I see it as I go through the YouTube videos. I see it even as I just go down the street to play my lottery numbers, because one day I'm going to hit the lottery. Yes, I will. I've said it. But even when I go down the street to play the lottery and I see people who just walk across the street arbitrarily, not giving a damn that police officer is flying down the street and you need to get the hell out of the way because they're going to a call. This is something that really angered me the other day. This kid, I want to say he was about maybe 15 or 16. He's walking across the street. He's walking across the street like he has no care in the world. He actually turned, saw the police cruiser jetting down the street. And if it had not been for this police officer who had the most magnificent brake set on a vehicle I've ever seen, screeched to a halt, cussing and fussing, get your ass out of the road. I'm lights and sirens. And that kid did not care at all. And he continued at the same pace walking across the street in that crosswalk like it was nothing. It scared me and it angered me all at the same time. I don't know what call that police officer was going to. Someone could have been shot. Someone could have been dying. Someone could be in the middle of getting robbed. But that kid said, I don't give a damn, and walked across that street like it was nothing. That's a police interaction where if the police officer had not been on that call and he would have pulled that kid up for something else, that kid would have given him so much hell. And I can hear it now. You don't have nothing on me. What you pulling me up for? You just want to harass a brother. I can hear it all now. And it's stupid. It's stupid. These kids have an unnerving sense of courage when in all actuality it's not courage. It's cowardice. It is cowardice. It is cowardice to think that you are so, I can't even find the word, but it's cowardly to think that you don't give a shit. And excuse my language, it's cowardice to think that you don't give a shit enough to get out of the way when a police officer is on his way to a call. This is one of the reasons why in my brain, and one day I'm going to write this down and I'll probably do an entire proposal. But I honestly think that high school graduation, we talked about the whole officer friendly program back in the early days of law enforcement and me. Have the kids, for like an elective course, go through police academy training. They can do a day, go through 6 weeks of police academy training. I don't know. I might be thinking too much. But before graduating high school, as an elective course, someone who really wants to understand criminality and criminal behavior, have them go through a program with whatever police department, maybe 2 weekends out the month, whatever, and go through true police academy training and have them fully understand what it is that they have to go through. And then before they, of course, they got to sign a waiver, but before they graduate, have them do that ride along, where in that ride along, they're going to have to go to a call. They're going to have to go to someone that's hitting up 911. Someone's breaking into my home. I'm about to shoot somebody because someone's breaking into my home. Those are the kind of calls that you hear when you listen to radios from out of state. I know I can't listen to anything within Baltimore because I reside in Baltimore, but I have listened to radio calls from other jurisdictions and I hear them. They get radio calls from somebody that says a homeowner just shot someone because they were breaking into their home. Have these kids go on those ride-alongs and see what those emergency calls are about. It's no joke. It's no joke whatsoever. It's just like when I was in the military and I had to go through gas mask training and I had to go into the chamber and be hit with gas and have to learn how long can I survive it before I would either pass out or have to put my gas mask back on. You have to be trained to handle that. And I think that's such a divide that we need to conquer. And I hate to say it like that. Let's get that divide and conquer going on so that we can conquer this bullshit that is the separation of the lack of respect and the lack of just law enforcement has a lack of respecting civilians, and civilians do have a lack of respecting law enforcement. That's one of the reasons why this platform was created. And I'm sitting here now wondering to myself, how is Tim going to take what I have to say? But Tim, this is how I feel. And I know we didn't talk about it. You and I, we always want to, have our conversations and talk about what the next topic is going to be on the next episode of Law Enforcement and Me. But today I had to really, really vent. And it's just so much on my mind, and it's so much that's heavy on my mind when it comes to law enforcement. I know that I talked to people here in Baltimore, a couple of law enforcement friends that I have here in Baltimore. And even though they don't want to come on this platform because they do kind of feel as though that what I'm doing is more political than what it's designed for, I get it. But I still think that we got to talk about everything. So with this in mind, let me just go over a few things that I saw on Patrol Live over the past weekend. One of the biggest takeaways for me, Saturday night was what the folks on social media called a slow night. Wasn't much action. Wasn't a lot of police car chases. It wasn't a lot going on. However, here it is. I'm looking at Danny Brown from Richland County, downtown Danny Brown. He's been with Dan Abrams on Patrol Live since Live PD. Him, Addie Perez, the whole Richland County crew. One thing struck me with Danny Brown. Now he's Captain Brown, I believe. So he's been with Richland County for quite a while. So he's going through this kid's, and I gotta call him a kid. I mean, he had to have been about 6'2", 6'3". You know, he's already mad because he got caught. He's mad because he's on television, and he refused to get searched. Danny Brown already knew. He already knew. Hey kid, spread your feet. Kid wouldn't spread his feet. Hey man, spread your feet. Gotta search you. Hey, listen. This is what he's telling this kid this third time. Hey, listen. If once you get booked in, they find drugs on you, you're now charged with a felony. But this kid was just so determined to just be an ass. What do you have to prove by not cooperating? What do you have to prove? Yes, you're on television. Yeah, you're embarrassed. Absolutely. Your street cred is not going to change. Your street cred is not going to change because you're already caught. You've already been caught. You can either spread your legs so that you can be searched, or you can look stupid and get an additional charge because when you're now no longer on camera and you're now no longer on national television, you're now being booked into jail. Those same kids that's already going to talk about you have already seen you get booked, have already seen you get arrested. So now that you're being booked, you're going to take an extra charge because you didn't want to get embarrassed on television. Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. Yes, you're embarrassed. Your street cred is going to go down. So now you got to prove yourself when you come back out. You're on the radar for the police department at this point. But how stupid is it? I just heard myself say stupid. That was very Baltimore of me. Forgive me. But how stupid is it that here you are because you're in the street and your boys, hey man, yeah, I got caught up. My bad. What's going to happen, really? What's the difference between you getting your ass beat because you got caught and was on television, or you getting your ass beat, getting caught, and now you have a felony on top of everything else? Talk to me. What's the difference? What's the difference? And then downtown Danny Brown, my man said, you know what? We've searched it, but I'm going to search it again because I know I've missed something. And it's just a little bit too bad that, as I always say, the good stuff always seems to happen when the show goes off the air. So now what we got to do, we got to wait a whole week before we see First Shift. Now, Tim, we have an idea, don't we? Tim and I said, you know what? We're going to need to do On Patrol Live West, meaning from 12 o'clock here in Maryland to 3 o'clock in the morning, which is 9 p.m. Pacific time to midnight. We can do 3 more hours of On Patrol Live, and me and Tim will host it. We will host it. We'll take you to all of the different counties across the country, and we will take over where Dan and Rizzo and Chief Curtis, all of those folks, they've gone to bed. Me and Tim will host it. We got you. We will follow up. And we will make it a true coast-to-coast broadcast. Dan Abrams, I know you listening. That's a good idea, isn't it? Me and Tim will do it for you, no problem. Anyway, getting back to the point of me talking about these police interactions. With the guests that I'm hoping that Tim can confirm for me, one of the things I want to talk to the guest about is, I've said it before, and you guys know I hate it. I hate it with a passion, is when folks get pulled over and the first thing they want to come out their mouth and say is, I know my rights. I really want to know how many people who claim that they know their rights can recite the Miranda back to an officer. I just really want to hear that one time. You have the right to remain silent. That's always going to be what everybody knows. But the rest of it, after that, can somebody I want to see it. I really want to see it. I got to look it up on YouTube or something. I want somebody who says, "Hey, man, I know my rights." I want for a police officer to say, "Okay, then tell me what your rights are. Tell me what the Miranda rights are." Because you notice that I know some jurisdictions, they absolutely have to read the Miranda rights off of a card. Some officers have it laminated and they read word for word what is on that card. And I mean, these are police officers who have like a 20-year tenure with whatever jurisdiction that they patrol for. But they have to read that card. So, since you know your rights and you know what it is with a police stop, I would love for a police officer to sit up there without pulling out their Miranda card and that person that they're arresting saying exactly what is on that Miranda card word for word, since they know their rights. I mean, honestly, when you are arrested, your adrenaline is up, you're pumped. Nobody wants to be arrested. Not one person wants to be arrested. But for somebody who is getting arrested or somebody who is having a police interaction to come out their mouth and the first thing they say is, "I know my rights," let's talk about it. So tell me, what are the Miranda rights outside of you have the right to remain silent? What's up? I think that would be awesome. I think that would be amazing. Again, going back to what I was talking about with kids in school and how understanding law enforcement with having that elective class to go through police academy training, two or three weekends out of a month or something like that, some sort of elective course to where they can go out there, get police trained at the academy and do one ride along. I think that would be amazing. Maybe then they'll understand that when someone comes up and says, "Hey, man, I know my rights," they'll be able to say, "No, you don't. No, you don't. But what I will tell you is that you have the right to remain silent," etc., etc., etc. I'm rambling. You guys know on this platform I ramble a lot. The last thing, let me pull out my phone because I know there's some things that I want to go over for the next episode. I really want to confirm this one law enforcement officer. I don't want to tell his name because if it doesn't come through, then I'm going to have egg on my face. But I know that me coming from a metropolis where the police department here in Baltimore is the eighth largest police department in the United States. And I know that the police department that the gentleman that Tim is trying to wrangle up for me does not come from a police force that big. I definitely want to talk to him about the differences between a metropolis like Baltimore or Las Vegas to a not as dense population as a lot of the places that are out west. I know that patrols change, not just the laws, but patrols change, how police interactions change. Um, I really want to talk about those differences. I've had the pleasure, God rest my dad's soul, I miss him so much, but me and my dad have had the pleasure of driving across this country from Oceanside, California one time, um, down through, I can't remember the highway name, but we went through from California, Oceanside, California, of course, to Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma. And I think once we hit Tulsa is when we started coming north to come to Baltimore. And then going back to California, we went the northern route. So we were able to see, Missouri, Colorado, Utah before heading back down to Oceanside, California. So with all of that terrain and all of that lovely America that we got to see, a lot of different jurisdictions we went through. So we know police interaction was different in each and every one of those places. I have had the pleasure of going across country with my dad in a 1976 Oldsmobile Cutlass, red and white, 3 times. So we've seen a lot of this country. And of course, because I was in the military, also got to see a lot of this country. Now, I didn't do a big, full military tenure like some of these other folks out here, but I did join the military. I did do basic training. I've, went through gun training and all of that kind of stuff, especially with going overseas. So I've had the pleasure of seeing a lot in my little lifetime. And as I think about my life and I think about the things that I've done, and as I think about this platform, I really am curious as to the differences with all of these different places that I've been, how police interactions can be. So that being said, I am going to close today's episode. I'm not sure how I want to close it because I know that let me where's my Tim? Tim said that he wants me to do some research on let's see. Because last episode we did Pennsylvania versus Mims, and I hope you guys really enjoyed that because that was actually kind of fun to research. That whole you pulled me over for the license plate but found a gun. Yeah, that was pretty good. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to go through my phone here because there's another law that Tim and I are probably going to be talking about. If Tim does not join me on the next episode, um, hopefully he'll do an editorial like he did on the last one and be able to talk about his side of things because like I said, he definitely is fantastic advocate for policing. He actually went through police academy training before he got hurt. So well, I can't find it, but it is a couple of laws that I need to go over myself so that I'll be ready for you guys next time. And listen to some old episodes, see if I've done anything crazy since last time. And that being said, guys, I appreciate you. Thank you. Pray for those that we've lost. Pray for those who definitely need to come to a platform like this just to learn a couple of things. And let's do better. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to sound political, but let's just do better. And that being said, God bless you. Thank you guys for listening. Again, this is Carmen, law enforcement and me, Ellie and me. We're trying to bridge that gap between law enforcement and those of us who are just trying to live. All right, guys. Till next time.